My dear, loyal brothers, we have received your very blessed and very beneficial luminous gifts and the mementos of your diamond pens. May Almighty Allah reward the scribes who have written them with 10 mercies for each of its letters. Ameen. A type of keramet shown by these luminous risales on the elderly are as follows. As the trust was delivered to the door, the old mufti of this area, who had only come to visit me twice in 8 years, came along with the mayor in a completely unexpected manner, just as Emin brought the trust to the door. Also, on the same day, just as the trust of the Risale on the elderly arrived, 2 very elderly men who looked after the Risale-i Nur's illiterate elderly in the city came from different places, both bringing some yogurt as a form of barakah. Again, on the same day, one of the representatives of the Sparta champions Hilmi Bey, who had previously come to visit us only 3 times, arrived from a distance of 1 day, and his entering our company in a completely unexpected manner while the gifts were still in our hands was as if he had come to spectate the reception of these gifts. At that same moment, the arrival of a student by the name of Hayri, who has previously been the recipient of 1 or 2 keramet, together with an important student of the Risale-i Nur who was coming from the village of Dadai called Fuat, with Fuat taking with him 3 copies of this trust to Istanbul for it to be read, surely cannot be coincidence or arranged. Rather, they are the warm welcomes to these trusts regarding the elderly and are signs that this will have a favorable influence in this region. My brothers, in these last 2 to 3 years, the personal assistance and conquest of those among the 6 pillars, namely the 2 Alis, Tahiri and Hafiz Mustafa, especially in this region, whether it be due to their extraordinary ikhlas or due to their exalted abilities and activities, have been at such a degree that they have left the students of the Risale-i Nur in this province eternally indebted and have permanently and firmly established the Risale-i Nur forever in this area. May Almighty Allah be eternally pleased with them and yourselves. Ameen. The Ustad of the Madrasa-i Nuriye, Hacı Hafiz, and his son lending their pens to help with my illiterateness, and the help of the 2 brothers Mustafa and Salih, the 2 brothers Ahmet and Süleyman, and another 5 brothers who all have become students with 3 of them offering assistance, and Babajan making Asim's spirit proud and running to aid us in his system, and Zekai giving joy to Lütfü's spirit by embracing his duties like the former Zekai, and the likes of Barangoz Ahmet, Katip Osman, Mehmet Zühtü, Nuri, and Tenekeci Mehmet also running to illuminate Kastamonu like the others who previously illuminated Sparta with their valuable services, and the Mustafa, and Eyüp, who I recently met, and who, like my former friends, have been running to assistance me with their pens for my illiterateness, all confirm completely and without any doubt the good news of فَإِنَّكَ مَحْرُوسٌ بِعَيْنِ الْإِنَايَةِ. My dear, loyal, striving brothers Hasan Atif and his loyal companion, firstly, we congratulate you on this blessed 3 months. With complete pleasure we have received and we welcome your writings, which are the mementos of your pens certifying your faithfulness and steadfastness to the Risale-i Nur, and your writing off the apparent face of the world, which is a sign that you hold your religion above and beyond this world, and your signatures, which are documents showing your consistent steadfastness in the service of Iman. May Almighty Allah record in your book of deeds merits to the number of its letters from the treasure of His mercy. Ameen. My dear brothers, after seeing the Risale on Ikhlas amongst your writings, I refer you to the lessons of such Risales and do not see any need for further lessons. However, I remind you the following. Since our method is based on the mystery of Ikhlas and is the truths of Iman, unless we are compelled to, we are to avoid interfering with the life of this world and social life, and due to our method we must stay away from situations that lead to rivalry, partisanship, and be caring. It is unfortunate 1,000 of times over that the helpless people of knowledge and people of religion who are subjected to the attacks of the dreadful snakes assist these snakes and atheistic distractions of the munafiqs and facilitate killing each other at their hands by criticizing each other for minor matters as small as the bite of a fly. In a letter written by our sincere brother Hasan Atif, an elderly scholar and preacher has apparently taken up a position that causes harm to the Risale-i Nur service. He wanted to interfere with the Risale-i Nur through discrediting a helpless man like myself who has thousands of faults and using the pretext of my not following a sunnah, the beard, which is due to two important permissible excuses. Firstly, both you and that person should know that I am a servant of the Risale-i Nur and a herald in that store. As for the Risale-i Nur, it is a true tafsir that is tied to the all-glorious Qur'an, which is tied to the graced arsh, throne. My personal faults cannot affect it. The ribbed gloves I wear when I am heralding cannot reduce the value of its eternal diamonds. Secondly, send my regards to that preacher and scholar. I accept his criticism and objection of myself wholeheartedly. You too should not provoke him and other such people to arguments and debate. Even if they were to commit a transgression, you should not respond with even a curse. Whoever they may be, since they have iman, they are our brother in that respect. Based on our methods, we cannot retaliate even if they are hostile towards us. For there are far more terrible enemies and snakes. Also, we have Nur in our hands, not gloves. Nur does not hurt anyone, it affectionately strokes them with its light. Especially if they are the people of knowledge, and if they carry an egotism arising from knowledge, do not provoke their ego. Take as your guide the principle of وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا as much as possible. And since the person called Hasan Avni has previously been in the Risale-i Nur and has contributed by scribing, he is in the circle. Even if he has mistakes in his thoughts, you should forgive him. Let alone dealing with such people of religion and Muslims who follow a tariqah, it's the requirement of this strange age, our method, and our sacred service that, now, in this age, we do not interfere with anyone who has iman, even if they are in a misguided sect, and we do not cause arguments or points of difference with anyone who recognizes Allah and believes in the hereafter, even if they are Christian. And in response to the spirit of the Risale-i Nur in the world of Islam, it is incumbent upon Risale-i Nur students to take up an amicable position so that no obstacles arise in social and political life. Beware, never interfere with the Jummah, Friday prayers, and Jamaats that follow a Hujjah. Even if you do not attend yourselves, do not criticize those who partake in them. Although Imam Rabbani said that, do not enter places in which there is bid'ah, his purpose was to mean that there would be no merit in it, otherwise it does not mean that the salat would be invalid. This is because certain people from among the early righteous followers of the Prophet, Salafus Salihin, performed their salat behind people like Yazid and Walid. If someone was forced to commit a major sin, Kebair, when traveling to the masjid and back, they should then remain in their homes. Thirdly, Hasan Atif talks about brave and steadfast man who he calls Afa. We welcome these new, brave and steadfast brothers with all our being. However, it is necessary for those who enter the circle of the Risale-i Nur to increase the value of their bravery by seriously working towards an unshakable steadfastness, firmness, and solidarity between their brothers, and thereby transform their individual courage, which has the value of a piece of glass, into a diamond of sacrifice and loyalty to the love of truth. Indeed, the greatest principle in our method after complete ikhlas is steadfastness and firmness. And there are so many incidents regarding this firmness that those who have carried it have each been successful in the service of Nur by as many as 100 people. There are those who appear to be ordinary in their 20s or 30s, but have become superior to those awliya in their 60s or 70s. Also, even if someone has good courage individually, upon entering a collaborative community, they must not use that personal courage so that the collective peace and steadfastness is preserved. It is now necessary to act according to the mystery of the hadith, Siru ala sayru ad'afikum. And in these bewildering situations, students of the Risale-i Nur must avoid raising unnecessary discussions and arguments with outsiders over matters of wearing the hat, calling the azan, and the labels of Dajjal and Sufyan, which cause both Hojas and the people of politics to take up positions rivaling the Risale-i Nur and to attack it, which is extremely harmful, and they are required to practice caution and obliged to preserve calmness and composure. In fact, your smallest lack of caution affects us all the way here. The Risale-i Nur is not a single circle, it has levels like concentric circles. There are levels within it such as the pillars, custodians, the elect, the disseminators, students, and supporters. Those who are not deserving to be in the circle of pillars, on condition they are not supportive of opposing currents, cannot be expelled from the circle. Those who do not carry the characteristics of the elect, on condition they do not enter a contrary method, can become a student. Those who act with bid'ah, on condition they are not supportive of it in their heart, can become friends. That is why you should not exclude anyone so they are not left to join the enemy ranks for a minor mistake. It is, however, necessary that you do not share with them the confidential matters and sensitive measures taken by the pillars and custodians of the Risale-i Nur. My dear loyal brothers, 2 minor incidents over the last 2 days have reminded me of 4 or 5 matters. The first, Salahaddin from Ankara writes that there have been attacks made against the tariqas and people are apparently arrested in both Ankara and in the East regarding this matter. The students of the Risale-i Nur in every place remain protected under divine favor. Their strong ikhlas, solidarity, and caution enable divine favor to continue over them. The second, there has recently been a general complaint about feelings of distress. It is as though the bad spiritual weather has brought about a material and general sickness of distress. In fact, I too became infected by it for a day. Those who busy themselves with the Risale-i Nur, which is a remedy to all our problems, either never have this sickness of distress or suffer it only minimally. The third, in terms of the service of the Risale-i Nur, the passing away of the late Mehmet Zühtü has deeply saddened us. But then I suddenly recalled how last year the Risale-i Nur students in his village made extremely brave pledges to have all the confiscated Risales of Hafiz Mehmet scribed and returned to him within 10 days, and I understood that Sparta and its region, the land where heroic lines are raised, will perform the service of Mehmet Zühtü in a more passionate way and feel his absence. The fourth, in some of the letters which have been included in the addendum, I saw that our brothers from Sparta characterized their ustad excessively. I looked at myself, and not even the zakat of those qualities can be mine. It is not my right. I said, I wonder how these brothers of mine who are lovers of truth benefit from such excessive favorable thoughts and continue it despite my many warnings. My heart was warned that, since those brothers and their countrymen from the Sparta region have witnessed the blessed fruits of their favorable thoughts at the degree of their highest level of good thought, with this perspective, in accordance with people of Velaya such as Beşkazlı Osman Halidi and Topal Şükrü, they have not been excessive and have witnessed a truth. But just as keshifs, unveilings need to be explained and dreams need interpretation, when judgments relating to particulars are generalized, it will in one way appear as an error. In the same way, these people are ascribing the benefit they, and their cities have received from the collective spiritual character of the Risale-i Nur to this brother of theirs they call Ustad, as one of the representatives of the Risale-i Nur's collective spiritual character, and by considering this event in their city as a general event and announcing it as such, they have expressed it as an excessive favorable thought. The fifth, it came to mind that the Risale-i Nur has many parts, and although everyone is in need of them, not everyone can acquire all of them. Suddenly, as a reply, the work Hujjatullah al-Baligha came to mind. Yes, many works emerge from Risale-i Nur whereby each can become a small yet powerful Risale-i Nur and can become accessible to anyone in need. In this regard, I considered the supplements to the 25th word. I currently have 4 or 5 copies of it with me without the supplements. This time, in the supplement of the copy sent by the blessed group, the index of Rumuzat-i Semaniye is incomplete. The indications of Surah إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ and إِنَّا أَعْدَيْنَا, of which the 13 alifs point with fingers and the 13 hands pointing in the Surah Fatiha, and the important parts such as the indications of Inna Anzalna have not been included. Yesterday, I read the small Risale about the journey of the imagination and travels of the heart in the last part of the 29th letter about the ayah Allahu Nuru Samawat, and I remembered the indication this ayah made to the Risale-i Nur in the first ray. I said, it is suitable for these 2 points of Nur and Ta'rubu Shamsu fi Aynin Hamiyah, with its proof, points and note to be included among supplements to the miraculousness of the Qur'an. If you too deem it suitable, have it scribed. You can include in it any important parts relating to points about the miracles of the Qur'an. The 6th, I congratulate with all my being your blessed 3 months, which contain the mystery of gaining a spiritual and eternal life of 8 odd years, and your Laylatul Regaib. 2 or 3 days ago, I listened to the 22nd verse while it was being amended. I saw that in it are lights like universal zikr, invocation, comprehensive thought, fikr, and recurring declaration of tawheed, tahlil. A powerful lesson of iman, a sense of divine presence, huzur without heedlessness, a sacred wisdom, and an elevated level of worship and contemplation is found within it. And I understood the wisdom of why some students either read, scribed, or listened to the Risales with the intention of worship. I said Barakallah and affirmed them. While writing the 5 or 6 matters in this letter, we received the letter of the custodian of the Nur factory Hafiz Ali and the letter of Hasan Atif, who is exceptional in his ihlas, hard work, and meticulous thinking. Hafiz Ali's letter is a testament of how the highest qualities of ihlas show themselves in Risale-i Nur students. Among the students of the Risale-i Nur, the mystery of ihlas show themselves in ways such as having a high degree of abandonment of the ego and being indifferent to the pleasures of the nafs. For example, Hafiz Ali says that our brother Husrev not supporting the photographic printing of the miraculous Qur'an, which he scribed with his own pen, and his being in favor of waiting until it is permitted to be printed with letterpress, is a clear testament to his extraordinary ihlas and his abandoning the desires of his nafs. Because, being his own handwriting, if it was photographically printed, like having scribed thousands of copies of the Qur'an, it would have given him a grand, innocent, and harmless station in terms of the merits relating to the hereafter and in the spiritual view of the world of Islam. By foregoing his own pleasure for the sake of the mystery of ihlas, he turned this option down and agreed to support the printing in letterpress. As for the errors in print he raises, those mistakes can even be found when printed with letterpress 3 times. In conclusion, Hafiz Ali's remarks, which come from his ihlas and his praising Husrev with regard to his extraordinary ihlas, and with Husrev abandoning his significance and eternal share indeed corroborate the claim I have been repeatedly making for a long time that the true students of the Risale-i Nur consider the service of Iman above and beyond everything. Even if the level of kutub was offered to them, for the sake of ikhlas, they would prefer servanthood. To brothers like this, we offer our deepest congratulations. We have come to understand from Hasanatov's letter that he is truly working in every respect. In return for presenting as gifts the mementos of the pens of those he calls the Risale-i Nur's Mujahids and Efes, we say, may Almighty Allah be eternally pleased with them. And among the many of his meaningful lines, I sensed a slight aggressiveness towards the people of Bid'ah. The time, conditions, and the Risale-i Nur's positive methods, let alone actively engaging the people of Bid'ah, does not permit us to even busy our thoughts and minds with them. Caution is required at all times. That sincere brother of ours will inshallah raise many sincere students that are like himself. In our du'as here, we include all his companions therewith, Atif. I would like to communicate with them personally, but since Sparta is performing that duty in a more perfect way, I leave that duty to them. It has given us joy to see the praises Hafiz Ali makes at the end of his letter about Ahmed and his brother Suleiman, who are among the champions of the Madrasa-i Nuriya and who follow the system of Husrev. In my view, I was already considering the students of that Madrasa-i Nuriya as being the students of the Madrasa-i Zahra, which has been one of the aims of my life since former times. And I would say they have become this, or these are their rear guards. Bismihi subhanahu wa in min shay'in illa yusabbihu bihamdih. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear loyal brothers, we congratulate your Miraj and request from Divine Mercy that He gives you and us complete success in the illustrious Sunnah of the possessor of Miraj, alayhi salatu wassalam. I will write to you about one or two minor matters that have come to our attention over the last 1 or 2 days. Firstly, an incident which shows one of the many reasons why some Risale-i Nur students remain unmarried is as follows. I recently explained a brief truth to a lady who had suffered the blows of youth, was unmarried, and looked for consolation, making the effort to connect with the Risale-i Nur. She was busy studying at an important school and was the daughter of an important man. I am writing it to you so that it may benefit others in your area. I said the following: since you have suffered the blows of youth, do not undertake the natural duty of reproduction. Because in return for that duty, the temporary enjoyments and pleasure a man receives as a price is to a degree sufficient for him in the beginning. As for the helpless lady, she will carry the heavy burden of that natural duty for a year and be left with the troubles of raising and nurturing a child for 1 or 2 years, and as a result of immodest clothing, which has become pervasive, be faced with her husband's insinuations of disloyalty and the possibility of his interest in others, and not treating her with sincere mercy, she will at all times be troubled and left dealing with pains of conscience. And in this corrupt age, the temporary enjoyments and pleasure had from marriage cannot correspond to 1% of its burden. And particularly when there is no compatibility between couples, according to the Sharia, which is when they are not suitable in terms of character and religion, it is a far more painful torment. Especially those who are outside Islamic training and live by the title of Muslim, since they are unable to find the respect and mutual compassion which come from Iman, it completely destroys worldly happiness and makes them suffer torments of hell. In return for the many difficulties faced in fulfilling their duty of reproduction and their many services, both mother and father have only a sincere respect and a loyal obedience from their child in this world in return for their service and compassion which they provide with complete respect and loyalty, and after their passing away, have their children record rewards in their book of deeds through righteousness, meritorious acts and du'as, and if the child dies as an innocent before the age of 15, have their children become an intercessor for them in Qiyamah, Doomsday, and as a lovable child in their embrace in paradise. But now, due to the training of this cruel civilization taking the place of Islamic training, only one child out of 10, rather 20, rather 40 can barely fulfill the above-mentioned qualities of a worthy child in return for the extremely important service and compassion of their mother and father. The others will constantly hurt the compassion of their parents with anxieties and have those mothers and fathers who are true and loyal friends suffer the pangs of conscience as well as bring claims against them on the day of judgment, saying, "Why did you not nurture me with Iman?" Rather than be an intercessor, they will make complaints against them. The second matter, the 5 subtle tawafuqs experienced yesterday have given us the conviction that, even with our smallest and insignificant work, we are under the benevolent watch. The first, as I opened the door, beyond any expectation, 4 Ahmeds from among the Risale-i Nur students suddenly arrived together at the door, each able to assist me with a matter I was in need of. 2 of them were from villages, the other 2 were from different localities here. And again, we had given one of the important students of the Risale-i Nur, Köroğlu Ahmet, some yogurt as an offering of barakah and as provision. As he was holding the yogurt, one of the innocent students of the Risale-i Nur, Ahmed the son of Hilmi, came knocking at the door carrying with him the amount of yogurt I had given the other Ahmed. This type of tawafuq in one day regarding these 6 Ahmeds from among the students of the Risale-i Nur appear not as coincidence but rather as a sign drawing attention to those Ahmeds. The second, an immigrant, poor lady requested an item from me as means of barakah. So I gave her a shirt. 5 minutes later, a lady by the same name found an important means to make me accept a shirt and sent it. I accepted it for the sake of the tawafuq. Also, that same day, while I was giving away half of my butter to certain people in need, I put a little too much into the container and was left with very little for myself. Before they even received that butter, that exact amount I had intended to keep was delivered by someone from a far-away village in return for reading my books. For the sake of the tawafuq, I accepted that as well. The third, that same day, while I was traveling on horse, a man on horseback came running from behind me. He hopped off and clung onto my foot and stood up. I had never before met this man. I asked him, "You show me such friendship. Who are you?" He said, "I am the Hatib preacher of Kozca." But I had never before heard of such a village in Kastamonu. Upon my return, 2 soldiers who were from Sparta came next to me. One of them said, "I have brought you a letter from the Hatib of Kozca." This unusual tawafuq, occurring in such a manner in 2 of these different provinces, is an indication that they are working for the service of the Risale-i Nur with loyalty. In this regard, pass on many salam on my behalf to Sabri and the Hatib of Kozca. We are including him among the elect students in our spiritual rewards. Since it is not our custom to write private letters, he should not be offended that I could not write to him personally. That same day, I witnessed the fruit of a sweet tawafuq in a much more charming way. It was as follows. 2 soldiers came in a very happy and friendly manner and said, "You are from Sparta, you are our fellow countrymen." To which I replied, "Proudly, I am from Sparta in every respect. Sparta, in my view, is blessed in every way and is my homeland. It is also the birthplace of hundreds and thousands of my true friends who are each equivalent to 100. Indeed, whether they are soldiers or anyone else, most people from Sparta who come here mostly consider me as their fellow countryman. Whichever of them see me, they ask, "Are you from Sparta?" And I reply, proudly, "I am from Sparta, and I have so many true friends and relatives in Sparta that I have in many ways preferred it over my birthplace, the village of Nurs. And I prefer a single village of the greater province of Sparta over my district of Sparta, which is a young descendant of the greater Sparta province. The Sparta which has provided me with so many sincere and heroic brothers and sisters has for myself, rather for Anatolia, become blessed in every way. Inshallah, the seeds of Nur they have disseminated across both Anatolia and the world of Islam will each be the recipients of mercy and become seedlings, whereby they will be nutrients, lights, and remedies, and scatter the spiritual expansiveness, plague, tyranny, and darkness. The fourth. After writing the above 3 tawafuks, I received the very beautiful letter of Senior Hafiz Ali and the profound letter by Hulusi the third Abdullah Çavuş and the valuable letters by Hulusi Bey and Katip Osman. In the following phrase written by Hafiz Ali, in which he writes in relation to the scholars of Konya, describing the Risale-i Nur with appreciation and the praise and admiration the tafsir author Hoca Vehbi, Rahmetullahu alayh, makes towards the Risale-i Nur after being submitted by the Risale on Ihlas, Hafiz Ali says, "A keramet of the Risale-i Nur is that it does not feed meat to the cow and grass to the lion. It provides grass to the ox and meat to the lion. The very first Risales which that lion-like, brave Hoja came across was the Risale on Ihlas. And it was either 6 or 7 days before I received this letter by Hafiz Ali that I suddenly said while coming down Mount Karada, 'Watch out! Do not feed the horse meat and the lion grass. Give meat to the lion and grass to the horse.' I enjoyed this so much that I repeated this phrase 5 or 6 times. It was either Hafiz Ali who wrote it first and I was made to say it, or I had said it first and he was made to write it. There was only one difference between us in this unusual tawafuk. He made reference to feeding grass to an ox, and I feeding grass to a horse.